Welcome to Rebirth Podcast. I'm your host, Shea Marriott. Tonight, we're going to be talking about healing in good company. My special guest is Boss Up brand owner, Miss Jennifer Marshall. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe.
Out of the ashes we will soar to a destiny we can't ignore. Heartbeats echo through the night with every dream and endless flight. Together strong, let's break the mold. Our rebirth and stories told. It's time to renew, rebuild, restore. Unlock the dreams we've been waiting for. Rise up higher, more and more. With every breath, a new dawn's roar.
Welcome to Rebirth Podcast. I'm your host, Shea Marriott. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm so excited that you guys are here, and I'm even more excited because I get a chance to sit down tonight with someone that is very special, near, and dear to my heart. But before we get to her, as you know, we have been talking about healing. I shared with you guys a few episodes back, right before the new year came in, that God gave me this word for 2025, and that word was healing. At that time, I had no idea how important that word was going to mean to me and my journey, but also to you out there. The climate of the times, we are really going through a lot right now, not just in our individual lives, but just as a country, in whole. So I encourage you guys to tune in tonight. Make sure you share this video with someone that needs a healing, and make sure you subscribe to our podcast so you can catch all the good information that we have coming to you in the future. So please help me welcome Jennifer Marshall. She's the owner of Boss Up brand. She wears many hats, okay? So she's the owner of Boss Up brand. She's also a very special friend of mine. She's also the producer of the Rebirth podcast, as well as my assistant. So yeah.
Yeah, that's being me. It feels so weird being on this side of the couch.
I bet it does.
Like it don't even feel right sitting on this side of the I don't even know what to do with myself. I'm so used to telling everybody else what to do.
I know, right? So good. So just relax. Relax. So welcome to the couch.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yes. So when I talk about healing, what does that mean for you? Just the word healing.
Whew, it's a very deep word.
Mhm.
It's just, to me, it's fixing yourself, making
Mhm.
yourself whole. My healing journey,
Mhm.
I can say I'm still on, and healing just is learning how to better who you are.
Mhm.
That's what it means to me.
And learning how to navigate life a little bit better,
Yeah.
right? Because we're not always equipped to navigate through some of the challenges that we go through in life.
Mhm.
So I think that you said earlier, I'm still on a healing journey,
Mhm.
and you're always going to be on a healing journey, because as soon as you heal from one thing, here's something else coming
Ooh.
that you gotta heal from. So tonight we're actually going to be talking about healing in good company. And
Yes.
Jen is going to be sharing her healing story and what it means to be able to do that, to operate in good company as well as still healing.
Correct.
I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that a lot of people feel that they have to completely heal before they can move on to that entrepreneur, right? That
Mhm.
entrepreneurship, or move on to that new job, that new career, whatever it is that you want to do in life. People think that you have to be completely healed in order to go for it. And that's not the case.
Not at all.
No.
I found that if you try to heal or be healed first, you're never going to get
Mhm.
to where you want to be.
Mhm. Mhm.
Just and that's learning from my own journey. Like, no, I don't want
Mhm.
to do that yet. I'm not healed. I don't
Right.
want to go to that portion because I'm not healed yet. And I learned that I was never going to get to where I was looking to be because I wasn't going to be fully healed. Because
Mhm.
it's like you said, it's a process. Like you're healed from one thing and here's something else, and
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that everything is all bad. You're just learning
Yeah.
about yourself, and the more you learn about yourself, the more things start to make sense, and you can move in a
Mhm.
different way. So
Mhm.
you don't have to be fully healed to be an entrepreneur, to be a good
Mhm.
mom, to be a good partner, to make any moves in life,
Absolutely.
because it's just a constant revolving door of what you're healing from. And
Yeah.
to be able to sit here and talk about that now
Mhm.
versus where I was when I first started, is like it's two totally different people.
Won't he do it?
Won't he will.
Won't he will?
Won't he will. Um, going in, I don't think, if you told me this probably about 4 or 5 years ago, I don't think that I would be sitting even saying anything to this nature. I
Mhm.
would have just been like, no, it is what it is, and I ain't gonna
Yeah.
do it. And now I look at things in such a different light that that's how I walk.
Right.
Um, mm,
Before you go too deep, because I
okay,
want to back
okay,
up a
okay,
little
okay.
bit. What put you on your healing journey, and do you mind, I mean, you don't have to disclose everything, but do you mind sharing with our audience what were some of the things you felt that you needed to heal from?
Of course. I went through a bad breakup. Like
Mhm.
I was with somebody for 11 years and it just
Mhm.
ended abruptly.
Yeah. That's
I
always hard, right?
Man, hard. I thought I was losing my mind.
Oh Lord, not losing the mind. Go ahead, take a sip of your water.
I got it back. I got it back. But no, um, I was just at a place where I felt like this is it. I give up. I got to the place where like I just felt lost. I wanted help from my
Mm.
friends, but I couldn't tell them what I
Mhm.
wanted help with. I
Mm.
wanted to be better. I didn't know how to do better. I just wanted everything in life. Like, why is all of this happening to me? Like, why am I
Yeah.
the person that or is constantly going through something?
Yeah.
And I think part of my thing was I didn't realize what I was doing too. Like,
Mm.
we want to point the finger and blame everything on everybody else.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
part of it was me, and I didn't understand that. I just knew that life wasn't going the way I was supposed
Yeah.
to. Um, I broke up from my kid's dad. I moved in with family and felt stuck. Like this
Right.
is it. And I was like, I give up. Like I want to be a good mom. I want to do right, but I feel like this is it. Like I
Mhm.
can't do it. I can't do anything else.
Mhm.
Somebody suggested me going to therapy, and I was like,
Mhm.
that's for crazy people. But that's what I
Which
truly
that's the
thought.
misconception,
I
right?
truly
Yeah.
thought if you went
Yeah.
to therapy, you were absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
So when I got there, that's exactly what I said. Like,
Mhm.
I am really
Mhm.
crazy. And
Mhm.
I believe that in myself. Like I was like, yo, you are absolutely crazy. And here you are sitting on somebody's couch crying, looking crazy.
Yeah.
But little did I know at that point that was going to change my life in such a great direction that like I can be here today and be who I need to be without feeling crazy, because before I sat on the couch, I was crazy. Like
You were not crazy.
well, what I'll say
Life was
is
just life
life
for
was life,
you,
and
you know?
I had a
Yeah.
different outlook on it. And if I
Yeah.
continued on that path, I definitely wouldn't have been
Mhm.
who I am. So I went through that. I started going through therapy and just looking at things. I released a lot of anger.
Mhm.
Like I realized I was angry about a lot of things, and I was negative. Like everything, like I looked at all of the negative in life, like, oh, this ain't happening. Look at them over there doing this, and I can't do that, or
Mm.
I'm not able to do this. And like I said, I wanted so
Mhm.
much from my friends, but honestly, I didn't know what I wanted from them. Like they were like, we here for you. What do you
Yeah.
need? And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't want to talk to nobody.
Yeah.
Like I was confused.
Pause right there, because I think that there's a couple things that come up for me, because we're talking about, if you're just joining us, we're talking about healing in good company. So if you know someone that could benefit from this video, please make sure you share this with them, okay? um so let's talk about our friends, let's
Mhm,
talk about our support systems,
mhm,
right? Sometimes when we're going through these things, we feel so alone and we feel so by ourselves, but we're really not.
mhm,
We do have that support system. But what happens is, just like in your case, you were saying, it's like your friends were saying, well, we're here for you, I'm here for you, but your emotions and feelings are just so like just all over the place
Mhm.
that it's hard to even articulate what it is that you need. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? Or there's shame that comes along with it sometimes. Like, I don't want to tell them that this happened,
Right.
right? Because there here comes the questions. I need the support, but I don't want to have to go through every detail
Mhm.
of my breakup and what happened and,
Mhm.
and all of that, right? So sometimes we kind of put ourselves on that island by ourselves because we don't want to share certain things.
Mhm.
But I do encourage anybody that, if you do have a support system and you feel safe within that support system, that it is okay to share, because feeling safe means that person is not going to judge you regardless, right?
Mhm.
So that's important.
I had to learn that about my friends too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had to, and like I said in the beginning, I didn't know. Like, the people that I had in my life, I did have good people in my life. And I
Yeah.
had some that maybe weren't as supportive.
Mm-hmm.
But I just, again, I didn't know what I wanted from them. So it would be like, oh, we're here, but I just couldn't tell them what I needed because
Mm-hmm.
at that point I didn't know. I needed so much, and I'm somebody that I didn't like asking for help. I didn't like going to people because I was always the one that everybody went to. Like, you come to me
Mm-hmm.
for advice, you come to me to help you do things. I can't let go of being a person that needed the help. Like,
Right.
that made me in my mind look weak, and I didn't know one what I wanted from them. So
Mm-hmm.
once I started my journey and learning, what I needed, what was wrong with me, and it wasn't necessarily that it was something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It was just understanding my feelings. I could remember saying that, I just wanted to be a good mom,
Yeah.
and being told, as long as you're okay, they're okay, and to
Yeah.
work on myself. Like, I had never worked on doing things for me or being there for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and just learning how to do that, because I felt as though that was what was important first. Like, I started going on dates by myself,
Mm-hmm.
just doing things with me and understanding who I was,
Mm-hmm.
so now I can show up as a better friend, a better mom, a better person.
Right.
And then that's when I started to going back to like reevaluating my friends, and
Mm-hmm.
yes, you can say you're there for me, but are you?
Yeah.
And I feel like that was a hard thing to do, is going back and seeing, like, who's really truly there in your corner, and
Mm-hmm.
who do you feel safe with, and who are you just telling stuff for them to gossip and tell it with somebody else.
Mm.
um and it hurt to find out some of the people in my life that I had to let go of.
Mm-hmm.
um and some I let go with explanation. Some, I mean, maybe I'll have that conversation
Mm-hmm.
when I'm comfortable with it, but it was just a matter of finding out who the good company was.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have friends now that they probably, if they watch, they'll sit here and like, I never knew
Mm-hmm.
why she felt the way she felt. Or there's people that I cut off, like just cold turkey, like, I don't want to talk to y'all no more.
Mm-hmm.
And was just in that place where I just cut everybody off. I was like, I don't want to talk to nobody. I got rid of all of these people, and then I had to go back and backtrack and apologize and tell
Mm.
them, like, I don't know why.
Yeah.
Like, I have no idea what I was going
Yeah.
through to understand why I didn't want to deal with you. Like, there was nothing that they did personally.
Right.
It was just more so it was me, and I had to go back and apologize for that, and then ask for forgiveness. Like,
That's good.
can we start the friendship over, or
Yeah.
can you start from here? This is where I'm at. I went to a place where I've learned myself, and I'm healing from what I had going on, and now I can
Mm-hmm.
be a friend to you and accept your friendship and understand your boundaries. um I used to be offended sometimes that my friends didn't call me every day.
Yeah.
My friends didn't talk to me.
Yeah.
They didn't tell me stuff, or I didn't get invited to stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be so offended because I
Yeah.
did so much for people. Or,
Yeah.
as my therapist said, I was expecting myself.
Yes, you are.
I was expecting myself from them,
Yes,
and
you
just
are.
not
Mm-hmm.
understanding
Mm-hmm.
where they were and what their capacity was.
I want you to pause there because I think it's important that we understand this. And I can say, even for myself, especially during this time, I've been going through my own personal stuff, right? But I also know that I have close people around me that are support systems, and they're going through their own personal stuff. And it's heavy too,
Hmm.
right? Um, and what happens is, so what I can say about Jen, y'all, Jen she has an amazing heart. Okay. She's a very, very loyal person, and she really goes out her way to make sure that the people that she do love and care about, that they're okay. And I know that from my own personal experience and my own personal relationship with Jen. So what you said is absolutely right. You're not going to find you in everybody, but it doesn't mean that they don't care and love you, right? It just means that their love and care is going to look different than what yours do. And you got to be accepting of that, and you have to be okay with that. And sometimes it might not be enough, right? But then those are the things, those are the conversations. That's when you have to say, my favorite question is, how can I support you? Right? How can I support you? And because how we think we can support somebody may not be the way they need to be supported in that moment, right? And to be honest with you, I've had that question asked to me, and I didn't know what to say. I'm just like, you're doing it right now. you're supporting me right now, right? Because I didn't know what to say, right? Because 9 times out of 10, it was nothing that you can do. To take whatever it is that's happening in my life. There's nothing that you can do to take that away. But the fact that you just said, how can I support you, actually meant the world to me. Right. There was one time, and I had to share this. There was one time, but not actually, it was last week or 2 weeks ago. Like I said, I've been going through my own little healing journey. And I heard my alarm kind of click off, which tells me somebody was approaching my house. So I looked in the camera and I see somebody running back to their car, and they getting in their car, but they stopped and they looked, I guess, to see if I came to the door. And I'm looking, and at that time I couldn't make out who it was. But as soon as I opened the door, I saw what the person had left for me. I knew who it was, and it was Jen. It was Jen. She had left me a bouquet of flowers and a card. And those are the things that she does. Those are the things, that's the type of person she is. Like, she didn't need to come inside to have a conversation with me. She didn't need to see my face or anything like that. It was just like, you know what? I just want you to know that I love you. I'm here for you. And, you're so deserving of this, right? And that meant the world. And what did I do? I cried and I FaceTimed and I said, come cried. And I said, come back, right? I told her to come back because although I felt like I didn't want to talk and I didn't want to be bothered, because of what she did, it made me realize that I needed to. And when she came, we hugged and I just cried. And I said, thank you. And I said, thank you. And I didn't tell her what was going on. I really didn't say too much. No. It was just knowing that someone is there and loves you so much that they're going to go out their way to do something like that for you, and you least expect it. And I can explain these moments about how she does these amazing things. She's done it so many times, and she's recently done it again. You know what I'm saying? So Jen does have a really big heart, but I do agree that if you're expecting you from other people, it's not always going to look like that, and we have to be okay with that as well.
And I learned that.
Yeah.
It took me a minute for it to finally click. And then when you just see where people are, like, you may want to do things like that, and it may mean well by the intention or the thought, but I'm okay with where people are. Like, I can finally now read, okay, this is how they express who they are, and it's okay with me. Before, it wasn't. Like, I'm like, I do all of these things, and like when I'm in need, nobody can pick up on it.
Right.
And I used to get so frustrated because, like, I'm somebody that, like, you might not tell me, but I can just pick up, like, all right, just based off of how you're texting or based off of what you're saying. I'm like, okay, I don't even need to say anything. I'm gonna just do something, and I don't need to be around. I don't need to be the person that's like, I don't need that recognition.
Right.
I just need to know. I know that it's something wrong. I don't know how to fix it. I'm bad with words about fixing stuff, but I can do a gesture that hopefully will just at least put a smile on somebody's face.
Yeah.
I don't now I know I don't need that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the fact that people know that I care.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't need you to be like, oh, let me go run out and do this for you. Let me go run out
Mm-hmm.
and do that. That if that's not where you're at, that's fine with me.
Mm-hmm.
That is
Mm-hmm.
perfectly fine with me. I learned that I don't have to talk to somebody every day to know,
Yeah.
that they care. And I felt like I needed
Right.
that. But
Right.
before I
Right.
thought I needed that. I
Right.
thought like, oh my God, what did I do?
Right.
And I think that that's because I didn't know what I needed. So it was just like hearing from people
Mm-hmm.
just made me feel better at that moment. Now I'm
Mm-hmm.
good. If I don't hear from
Mm-hmm.
people, if I turn my phone off someday, I'm cool. But
Yes,
now people,
yes, with turning your phone off and putting it on do not disturb. You know, my phone
yes,
stay on do not disturb.
I'm working towards that. And I ain't there
It
yet.
stay on. Well, more so because I'm always in a session, right? So I always have to keep mine on do not disturb. But it definitely helps my peace of mind.
Mhm.
And if I'm not ready, when I'm ready to talk or whatever, of course I'm checking to make sure there's no emergencies. But I think it's important. Let's normalize putting your phones on do not disturb.
Please. When I first started doing it, I felt bad. I always felt like I was gonna miss something.
Uh-huh.
I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be the one time I put it on and somebody's gonna call
Mm-hmm.
and they're gonna need me and I'm gonna miss it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized, like, listen, my kids got two parents.
Mm-hmm.
If something's going on,
Mm-hmm.
their daddy can
Yeah.
handle it. And if it's really bad, they will find a way to get in touch with me.
Yeah, yeah. But you know you can put it where your kids can still get
Yeah,
through
they
because
could
my
call me.
kids can still get through.
They could call me,
Yeah.
but like if it
Yeah.
was something that he needed to call, so I
Right.
was like, okay, now I gotta add this person. So then I
Mm-hmm.
had a list of all of these people that, oh well, if they call this might I took that down.
Okay.
Like it used to be about 15, 20 people. I'm like, well, what do I have it on do not disturb for if
Right,
I got
right.
all of these people available to call me?
Right.
So then I just brought it down to the essentials. Everybody else can wait.
Mm-hmm.
Learning that helped. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. Now I know I'm cool if I don't answer the phone. I'm cool and you're all right.
Yeah.
And people
Yeah.
are all right. I felt like people had to learn that about me because they were so
Mm-hmm.
used to I
You
call
being
her
available.
and she gonna answer. If you knew that anybody knew, if you picked up the phone and called me, I was gonna be, hello, what's going on? 3 o'clock in the morning. Now I'm solving life
Exactly.
problem. I don't do that no more.
Exactly. Because listen, every time she walks in my house or she walks in the studio, she is she is on the phone with somebody. I'm just like, why?
I'm
can,
doing
can you
better.
just come in the door without having to be talking to anybody?
I'm doing
Yeah, it's
better.
all good. But some people feel like they have to be connected. And I think you were that person. I think you were a person that you had to be connected
I
all the
was.
time. Yeah. And that's changing for you.
And I like it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, when I tell you I like it, it's like, okay, cool. You have that
Mm-hmm.
moment to regroup. Like
Mm-hmm.
yesterday, I sat down and did nothing. I might have seen
Mm-hmm.
that phone, I'll call that person back. And I didn't feel guilty. Like
Mm-hmm.
normally I feel guilty. It'd be 5 minutes, like, oh, you okay? Did you need me? What's up? Now I'm like, all right, I can call you back and it's gonna be
Right.
okay. If
Right.
it's urgent, you'll text me.
Right, absolutely. So, talk a little bit more. Again, we're talking about healing in good company. So, what was your good company? I know you had started therapy, and how long were you in therapy?
I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember. It felt like what over about a year.
Longer.
I think it's about a year. It might have been longer than that.
Longer.
I'm giving myself break. No,
Right, right.
it probably was almost 2 years.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I thought I would never end. Like, but I
Mhm.
thought I was like, this is just going to be a forever thing because it's always something. And in the beginning, like I'd be like, man, I ain't doing that. Like, she want
Mhm.
me to be nice to this person. I ain't doing that. Like, oh well, I'm gonna just be unhealed because I ain't doing that. But when I finally just gave into the work,
Yeah.
because what I learned about therapy, it's not like you just go to this magic person and they fix you.
Right.
Because that was again another misconception I had. Like, I'm gonna just go to this person and they're gonna fix me.
Right.
No. When I found out I had to do work, I was like, I'm
Mhm.
gonna just be who I
Mhm.
was. Um, so I went
Because
and
it's easier to be that person, right? It's easier.
yeah,
It's easier
absolutely.
and it's comfortable to be who we are, who we were
It,
versus growing.
it was comfortable for not only me
Yeah.
but
Everybody
everybody
else.
else.
Yeah.
So then that made me feel like, oh, I'm doing something wrong
Mhm.
because I'm changing and nobody's accepting this. Everybody wants to pull me back to who I used to be
Yeah.
and bring me back to that person that I was for them, and I wasn't benefiting myself at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I went on that journey and started like opening my eyes and seeing people. And I noticed that my circle started changing as I
Mm-hmm.
changed. And, people weren't calling me as much. They weren't talking to me as much. And I was just like being observant of like,
Mm-hmm.
darn, she don't fool with me like that. Well, hmm, all right,
Yeah.
what did I do? And that's where I started at. Like, what did I do? And then I realized I
Mm-hmm.
didn't do anything. I've
Right.
gotten better.
Right.
And not to say that that was a bad person. It was just like I wasn't who I was. So you can't
Mm-hmm.
relate to who I am now. Like, I was getting that, oh, well, we ready to go be petty. I don't want to be petty.
Right.
And
Right.
people didn't understand that. Like, I would be the head petty. I had shirts that said petty everything. Like, that's who I was.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be that person anymore. I started to see positivity in things instead of
Mm-hmm.
negativity. And I started to talk in a way that, I was looking at life in a different way. And some people
Mm-hmm.
just could not accept that. Even to this day, there are
Mm-hmm.
people that just can't accept that. Or be like, well, you can call Jen because she going to do this, that, and the third. And it's like, no,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing that anymore. Like, I'm not arguing with people. I'm not being petty with you. I'm not agreeing with those type of things. And
Mm-hmm.
I started to see people like change on me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I ain't fooling with her no more because now she's too positive. I got
Mm-hmm.
told that one day by somebody, well, why do you wake up positive? Like, you too positive now. Like, huh? I said, how do you
Yeah.
be too positive? I said, so why wake up negative
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to have a bad day?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Um, it started affecting work. Like, people at work stopped talking to me. They didn't want fool with me.
Wow. That's so interesting that when you're moving into a positive space, that people struggle with you being positive or being healed or being healthy, right? And to me, I feel like that's an indication that these are the people that probably shouldn't be in my life.
Right.
Because if you are celebrating when I'm down and you're celebrating when I'm negative or I'm being petty, then you're not for me. You're
Right.
for my decline,
Mhm.
right? So that's a clear indication that those relationships are very toxic.
What I learned was that there were people that were okay with who I was
Mm-hmm.
because in their mind
Mm-hmm.
they were doing better than me. So if it made them
Mm.
feel good about themselves to have somebody they could look down on, like, look at her and her situation,
Wow.
it hurt. Like, and they were people that were close to me. Like, I was telling them like all my stuff. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm trusting you with all my secrets, like crying to you as somebody that I thought was a safe space.
Mm-hmm.
But when I realized it, and when comments were starting to be made, it was like, wow. So you were only looking at me as, oh, well, as long as she not doing better than me,
Yeah,
I'm
then you
cool.
good.
And I feel like that's probably was the thing that hurt me the most. Like,
Yeah.
when you found out that people were just like, yeah, we can be cool. You can be in my life because I feel like I'm doing one up on you.
Right, right,
And when I
right.
started to change and do, things that were better for me,
Mm-hmm.
they wanted to bring me back to where I was because it was more comfortable for them, for me to be who I used to be. Because
Absolutely.
now they were looking at themselves like, well, she changing, I don't want
Mm-hmm.
to, and that's cool. You don't have
Mm-hmm.
to, and I can still love you where you at. But now the access that you had to me is going to be limited because I'm not that person. It's like,
Right.
I look at it as people on drugs. You can't
Mm.
go back to being around those people that were doing drugs. They're going to pull you back to who you were.
Right.
So
Right.
until you're strong enough to stand on your own 2 feet and know, like, nah, I'm not doing that. You have to limit yourself to people, and they
Mm-hmm.
don't understand. And then they start talking about you bad, like, oh, you changed up on me.
I did.
She stopped talking to me all of a sudden. It's like,
I
no, I
did.
just grew apart. And I still love you,
Right.
but from over there, and it's okay.
Yeah.
But it was just, I
Yeah.
got somebody that told me one day, I don't want you to think I'm better. I think I'm better than you. And I'm like, well, I don't think that. I think we're
Mm-hmm.
all on different journeys. And I
Mm-hmm.
think where you're going is somewhere different than where I'm going doesn't mean you're better.
Right.
But then that made me evaluate them, like, because if that's what you,
Like, why would you say that?
right, if that's what you
Yeah.
think, then what do you think about me?
Right.
And I did start using that tool, like, what do I mean to you? I started
Mm-hmm.
asking questions. How do you see me? And some
Mm-hmm.
people couldn't answer that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they couldn't answer like how they saw me
Mm-hmm.
or who I was and what I meant to them. And so I started like falling back. Because I was like, well, if you can't answer that,
Mm-hmm.
knowing who I am, then there's a problem here.
Yeah.
Because I hold no value to you.
Mm.
And throughout all of the things that I do, and I never do anything to be like, I did this for you. I did that for
Mhm.
you. Like
Mhm.
that's never been me. I don't go on Facebook like, oh, today I went and did this. There's a lot of things that I go and do that nobody knows about but that person.
Right.
So if they choose to share it, fine. I don't go around and sharing all of that. But people decide to say they don't know who you are to them
Mhm.
as the person that I know that I can be. And I don't, I've always been that person that I ain't toot my own horn, but I know I'm good to people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but I don't ever say, well, I'm good to you, so you should do
Mhm.
this. Why?
Right.
You're gonna do what you feel. But when you
Mhm.
don't expect, you shouldn't expect that from me still.
Mhm.
And I recently had to learn that people were expecting things from me still. Like, I'm not gonna invite you to this, but I'm gonna invite you to come and do something
Mhm.
for me. No, I'm
Mm.
not doing those things for you, because if I'm not good enough to celebrate with you, then I
Right.
shouldn't be good to do a favor for you.
Right. Got you. Wow. That's
So
powerful. That's powerful.
yeah.
So, how did you determine what was good company and what that looked like?
Um when just how people were moving and how they were accepting the new me.
Mhm.
So the new me let me know who was in my favor and who
Mhm.
wasn't. So if
Mhm.
you were still trying to drag me back to who I was, or still trying to get me to, be into a bunch of gossip and not uplifting people, now I'm like, look, let's go do this. I don't gatekeep. If you want to learn something, let's do it.
Mhm.
Instead of talking about somebody, let's talk to them. Let's help them
Mhm.
out. Like, don't sit there and talk behind somebody's back. If you see they're going through something and you're concerned, I say it like, hey,
Mhm.
I noticed this is what's going on. Do you want to talk about it?
Mhm.
If you're trying to pull me back to that, then why are we
Yeah.
even involved?
Yeah. For
Um,
sure.
what is our purpose here?
Yeah.
Like, if we're not doing anything to help uplift people and moving in a positive direction, why are we friends?
Yeah. Absolutely. What would you say to the person that is watching right now? And because what you said was, you said, I'm still on my healing journey. You also said that a part of your healing was actually getting yourself in therapy, unlearning some things, even changing some of the dynamics of your relationships, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that includes family and friends, right?
Yes.
So come on now. Sometimes family could be the
Woo!
family could be the worst, but not always the case, but hey, it happens. So what would you say to the person that's just like, okay, I have no idea where to start. I want to go to therapy, but I don't want to go to therapy. How do I even begin that process? Um, how do I know I'm healed? Like, how did you know you were healed?
I just started feeling better and moving
Mhm.
differently. Like, once I realized, like, and it took me a minute to learn myself. So once
Mhm.
I realized that, girl, you is moving different.
Mhm.
You woke up and you ain't acting the same. Like, my kids started saying it, like, and they started changing. Like,
Yeah.
they weren't negative. They weren't coming with crazy stuff. They were like, Mom, we listened to what you said, and we went out there and we did this. Or I was talking to my friend, and instead of being petty and saying, let's go and get smart with this person, I'm like, no, let's talk to them.
Yeah.
And just the fact that they were watching, and they was like, Mom, we noticed that you've changed so much.
Mhm.
I don't think I noticed it first. I think other people started noticing it, but the impact was my kids.
Yeah.
When they told me, Mom, like, wow, we seen how you're acting and how much different you are. And it's inspiring to us. Like, I started to be able to get along with their dad, because in the beginning, let me tell you, I was not that was not it. We're good friends now, but in the beginning it was like, whoa, who are you?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
just changing that, and then the people around me started changing, and I
Mhm.
started to realize, oh, well, maybe you are getting healed, maybe you are doing better,
It's getting
because
better. Yeah.
they started to act differently towards me. And
Mhm.
like, just in general, like, it was like almost being an inspiration to other people to want to do better for themselves.
Mhm.
Like, Jen changed.
Mhm.
Like, wow, like, if she can change, not to say that I was just this horrible person, but like, some of my views on things, some of how I looked at things changed so much. Like, they were
Mhm.
like, oh wow, well, I noticed in you that you were moving differently, and I
Mhm.
decided to do so.
Yeah.
um
It just goes back to the quote, be the change that you want to see in the world,
yeah.
it starts with you. especially when it comes down to our children,
Mm-hmm.
because you model that. So if they see there's changes, they see you're doing different, you're moving different,
Mm-hmm.
you're speaking different, you're handling conflict different, then they have no choice but to receive that and apply that for themselves as well.
Yeah.
Right.
And then
So
I became the poster child for therapy. Like I told all my friends, I was like, y'all need to go to
yes, you
therapy.
did. You sure did.
I
You
was like,
sure did.
y'all need to go to therapy. Y'all need to get some of this. But I felt so good. Like I wanted to
Yeah.
share that with
Yeah.
everybody. I was like, oh, y'all need to go heal,
Yeah.
because if you go heal, girl, you gonna feel so much better. And even now, like at work, I mean, since I've been on my healing journey, I've gotten a new job. I've gotten a promotion. Like
Yes. Look at
even
God.
thank you, look at
Look at
God. But
God.
even with like my superiors at work, they,
Mhm.
I didn't apply for my job that I got. They came to me and they were
Mhm.
like, we don't know what happened, but we just noticed the change in you and how you
Absolutely.
move. And we
Absolutely.
feel like you're great for leadership and that you could be a great leader. And now, like, I have people underneath of me. So I feel like it's my
Mhm.
responsibility to lead in a good way. So
Mhm.
when they come to me, I'll be like, y'all need to go therapy.
Before you say anything, they need to go to therapy.
No, but when instead of like having those negative resolutions, it's like, no, well, what can we do and look at it ourselves.
Mhm.
I think that was the biggest thing I've learned. Like, look at yourself and choose you.
Yeah.
And that's my word to people that don't know where to start. Choose you. So
Mhm.
when you choose you, you decide that you have to do better.
Absolutely.
And once you start choosing yourself, like, therapy is easy to go to and do the work. And in the beginning, it's
Yeah.
going to be rough because you're like, I'm not doing nothing that lady says. Like,
And she did.
what? But in the beginning, you was like, she went homework from therapy. What? but
Yes.
but
Yeah.
when you
Your
start,
therapist should be assigning you homework, guys. Okay. I assign my patients homework.
if you don't have it, it's
Yeah.
something wrong.
You got to get homework. I'm not saying every session you should have it, but you have to understand the work. You're only with your therapist anywhere between 45 minutes to an hour,
Mhm.
right? Maybe once a week, maybe some once every 2 weeks, maybe some once monthly. It
Twice a week.
depends. Twice a week, right? But outside of that, that time is really for you to really work on everything that you talked about in therapy. So you should. And if your therapist is not assigning you homework, maybe you can just ask, "Hey, is there anything you can give me for me to work on between now and the next time that we meet?" Right?
Yeah, and I feel like the homework helps, like, because now
Mhm.
you're paying attention to stuff, like things
Mhm.
you would never have noticed about yourself, just things you would never have thought of. You're
Yeah.
paying attention to that now, like, oh, I did say that like that. Maybe I shouldn't have.
Yeah.
And then you're starting to grow. I feel like the biggest thing when I was able to apologize to people, because before I'm like,
That's
oh well,
big. Oh well, that'd be all
they
right.
be all right. I ain't telling them sorry for nothing. Like, oh well, they shouldn't have made me say what I said.
You put the blame on them,
Yeah, so
right?
now it's like,
Yeah.
I can go back, and it was big even with like my kids, because you think of your kids like, oh well, they your kids, so why do I need to
Mhm.
apologize to them?
Mhm.
No, you do.
Yeah.
You do.
Absolutely. I definitely apologize to my sons cuz I know, depends on what's happening. My tone may be a little bit off or something surprising happened. I'm like, "Okay, what now?"
Mm-hmm.
So because they're human. They're human too. And I also feel that that defines if your child is comfortable enough to come to you to
Mm-hmm.
talk to you about anything, how you show up for them, your tone, how you receive the information that they're telling you
Mm-hmm.
determines if they're going to be comfortable to come and share the next thing with you,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's really important. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
I
Come a
am.
long
I
way.
am. I'm
Um,
very proud of you.
I
You're
feel like
doing
I'm
it.
still growing, but
Hmm.
I've come a long way from where I used to be. Like I
Yeah.
said, in I got that advice to like reevaluate your circle every
Hmm.
6 months. And I feel like
Absolutely.
at first that was one of the harder things to do, because it's like
Mhm.
you're checking a roster of people, and you
Mhm.
know that it's a possibility. Some may stay, some
Yeah.
may go.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was the conversations of when I had to fall back from people
Yeah.
that I struggled with in the beginning.
Yeah.
But now it's like,
Yeah.
you're not a part of my healing.
Yeah.
Um and I don't it's never with ill intent. But again, it's going back to I'm choosing me. And I've been choosing you over me all of this time. And it's not beneficial for me to continue to choose you. And maybe we can reconnect, or you don't necessarily always cut people all the way off. But now I put a boundary in place where, I can do dinner with you maybe here or there, or be in the same room and it'd be okay. But that doesn't mean that we're sharing, secrets and we're doing those type of things anymore.
Absolutely. You have to know what everybody's position is in your life. What role do that person play, right? We have people that are mentors to us, and that's the role that they play, is a mentor. They may not be there to build a friendship or a trusting friendship. They're mentors. Then you have people that, they are secret keepers. They will, be able to, take in everything that you're saying and actually hold that and keep that information, right? You can't tell everybody your business. So you got to know, you can have a bunch of friends, but you got to know that every friend is not the same, and every friend is designed for something in your life, right? You have the girlfriend that you turn up with. You have the girlfriend that's a little bit bougetto, a little bougie and ghetto at the same time. So, and then you have that person that's just like you, that's a little bit, when I say a little bit above you, I don't mean in status or anything like that, but that's the person that you're just like, okay, this is my wise person. This is the person that I'm going to go to and I'm going to talk and share information with, right? And then you got that ride or die. Like, this girl is going to show up no matter what. And I look at you as that. I feel like you my ride or die. You're going to show up whenever it is. We're going to do what we need to do. We're going to, exactly. Right. But we still have a really good time together. So is there anything that you want to leave the audience before we sign off? I think this was a really powerful conversation, and I appreciate you sharing your story.
Go to therapy.
Go to therapy. Go to therapy.
I just feel like, choose you. In all instances, it is okay to have those friends, like you said, that are your ride or die. And it's okay to let the people that need to go in that season go. I feel like that's the biggest thing to struggle with, learning when to let go.
Yes.
Yes. And, in the beginning, it's hurtful. It's like, darn, I really had to let that person go. And it's not always bad and negative. It's just like our season has passed. And it doesn't mean you're not friends with that person. It just means that it's time to move on to the next.
Exactly. Exactly.
And just enjoy your season of life.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. All right. Give it up for Jen Marshall. Thank you so much for sharing your story and sitting on the couch, coming from the chair over to the couch.
But I'm going to go back to the chair.
gotta have you more often. So.
I'm going to go back to the chair.
Yeah. So if you take anything away from this conversation, understand that healing is a journey. It is. There's no destination to healing. You're always going to be healing from something. Some things are a little bit more heavy. Some things are a piece of cake. You'll get right through it. But the takeaway is, if you need help, if you need support, reach out for therapy. Reach out for therapy. If you feel therapy is not the route you want to go, then make sure you're talking to someone that is they have a safe space for you to not just, come to and talk, but you can take away something, you can grow. So again, as always, thank you for tuning in tonight. You can follow us on all podcast outlets at Rebirth You Podcast, as well as all social media. We are very excited about what's coming up in the next few months. Again, we actually got a date for our Rebirth Live coming up. Yes. So I guess I can drop it, right? I guess October 25th, y'all, is the next Rebirth Live. And we're actually going to be focusing on healing our community. So if you're interested in being on the panel, if you're doing the work, if you're in the community and you're making changes and you're trying to help, reach out to us at inforebirthlive@gmail.com and let me know what your story is. Until next week, every Monday night, you can find us here at 7 p.m. I will see you next week. You guys have a blessed week. Thank you.
Out of the ashes we will soar to a destiny we can't ignore. Heartbeats echo through the night with every dream and endless flight. Together strong, let's break the mold. Our rebirth and stories It's time to renew.